Turn on my mic and everybody else can hear me. This is the March 3, 2025 meeting of the Meridian Transportation Commission. It is 3:30 and welcome all. We'll start with the roll call. Mr. Ballard. Present. Mr. Shoemaker.
Here.
Mr. Lancaster, are you online? You said you wouldn't be here in person. He is
Mr.
online.
Chairman, I am
Welcome.
present online today.
So the wind wouldn't blow it. Walter Steed is present. Mr. Hopkins. Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Jared Smith. You're not here, Mr. Smith. Tom LeClaire.
Present.
Ms. Miller. On the ex officios, Matt Deegan.
Present.
Mr. Deegan is today's liaison from ACHD. I understand you're not permanent, at least as so far as we know today. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're trying to, I guess we're reestablishing some of our liaison responsibilities right now.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Ms. Kloppenstein.
Present.
Miranda Carson. Kate Dahl is taking the place of former Elisa Taysom, and welcome.
Thank you. Present.
Justin Price with ITD. I didn't hear him. Maybe the first one I can remember him not making. Tricia Murray with legal.
I am present online.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome. Ms. Hill is here. Mr. Hood, is he around? Not at the moment. Okay.
Mr. Chair, it looks like we have Jared just joined. Commissioner Smith.
Okay. All right. First item is the adoption of the agenda. Does staff have any proposed changes? Any of the members have any proposed changes? Hearing none, a motion second, please. Yes, sir. Okay. I did that because she emailed us that she would not attend and her corporal would not either. I could have called her name to know she wasn't going to be here. Thank you for keeping up. Okay, the adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lewis and a second from my left and my right, and I'll let Ms. Hill pick either Mr. Ballard or Mr. LeClaire. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next item is the approval of the minutes of the February 3 meeting. Comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move we approve the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a
February.
second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 The opposed? Old business, transportation project updates. Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for this month, project updates start on page 6 and go through page, I'm not sure, 12 or 13 or so. I did include this month some updates on the Meridian downtown pavement and pedestrian improvements. Those are bolded and on page 9. I believe Commissioner Ballard had questions last month, so I included some of those updates from ACHD on progress. I also left several of the ITD updates from last month bolded for the commissioners that weren't present last month. Just wanted to call their attention to those updates. So those are all of the project updates, and I can stand for questions if you have any on any specific project.
Questions regarding updates? Comments?
May I ask one question?
You may, sir.
Ms. Hill, and maybe this is a question for legal counsel. Page 11, reading through the Eagle Road Safety Review. I read that it's going to be variable speeds, but those are recommended and are not enforceable speed limits. I didn't drill down on legal research, but is there an answer why if there's posted speed, it's only suggested speed, it's not enforceable?
Probably, I'll save Ms. Murray for the moment. Mr. Price, do you have an answer for that?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Price isn't online today.
Ms. Murray, can you enlighten us?
What was the question? I missed it. Sorry.
Commissioner Ballard, is your mic on by chance?
It was when, okay,
Say it again, so they could hear.
all right. I apologize. Page 11, the Eagle Road Safety Review, I read those comments. Says they'll be implementing an advisory speed limit sign with flashing beacons. And then the note says, but these advisory speeds not being enforceable. My question, and I didn't drill down to do the legal research, why would they not be enforceable?
You know, I haven't heard that they weren't enforceable. That is news to me. So I would have to check on that for you and get back to you.
It says, after the presentation, there were concerns from the mayor and at least one council due to the advisory speeds not being enforceable. Okay.
Yep, I'll find out.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lancaster, I would have been disappointed if you didn't have some input for us.
so I have not been involved in that particular project, but I can speak to the question. So speed limits, a white sign with black legend is a regulatory sign. It's enforced. It can be enforced. An advisory speed, which supplements a warning sign, is just that. It's a warning and advice. So therefore, it's not enforceable.
But the black on yellow before curve is advisable.
Yes. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, diamond shaped warning sign with yellow background, black legend, and associated advisory speed plaque under it with yellow background, black legend is not enforceable. It's advisory only.
Well, if I may, Mr. Lancaster, just to take the conversation a little bit further. Out there, I know it's Baker, Oregon, but on the interstate, there is variable speed limits posted out there. Is there a difference between a variable speed limit and an advisory speed limit?
Yeah, so the word limit, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Ballard. So yes, there is a difference. So an advisory speed is not a speed limit. It's just an advisory speed, a recommended speed.
And if I'm not mistaken, the ones at Baker City are stated as speed limits. I guess maybe a better question, Mr. Ballard, would be to ITD, why go advisory on Eagle Road as opposed to speed limits? And I certainly don't know the answer to that.
Well, and I'm assuming that when the motoring public figures out that it's just a suggestion, how do we benefit?
Ms. Hill, would it be possible for the city, your department, to pass the question to Mr. Price and see if we can have an answer at the next meeting? He could bring the answer then or send it ahead of time, whichever.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I can reach out to Justin Price with ITD and maybe get a more formulated response to that question.
Well, Miss Hill, reading further on, a little over halfway through, they also shared that the speed study showed that no change to the enforceable speed limits on Eagle Road were recommended. Okay,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would say that due to the fact that certain times of the day, I think this is the thinking on Eagle Road. Due to certain times of the day, there's no way you can travel that road at 50 miles an hour. So the advisory speed zone would be just to say, you're not going to go 50 miles an hour, so don't try. Just go the pace of the traffic, would be my guess on why they're doing it.
We'll see if we can get you a more definitive answer.
I was just curious. I'm not being critical.
No,
I'm reading through that and I go,
I'm curious as well.
sounds to me like it's a work in progress.
Anybody have anything else in the update? One comment I would make was that on the Ustick Black Cat to 10 Mile, they not only are widening that road, they have taken down or taking down a half dozen of those 50 or 60-foot transmission line towers and moved a half dozen or so back further out of the right of way or away from the road, I guess I should say. So it's a big enough project, just widening the road, but they've also got to contend with those towers. So that's ongoing, and the recent weather has slowed them down, it looks like, a little bit. Okay, anybody else on anything on that topic?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have a question for Heather. There's the Amity Locust Grove. We still have a pause in the roundabout / signal. Is it, I see there were communications in September. Do we think some follow-up would be, I guess my question for really everybody is, would some follow-up be timely? Would it be helpful to say, just put a signal up for now or temporarily? Or is there some action we could take to help ACHD have more input?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair and Commissioner Leclerc, we have the Amity and Locust Grove project on our draft list for constructing an interim signalized intersection. So that's really kind of our avenue for drawing some attention to that. We elevated that, as you may recall from the last TC meeting. That was bumped up the list to kind of put those together with the road corridor. So that is one avenue we're taking to keep that in the top 10 potentially. The draft is still before council for final recommendation to ACHD, but that's really kind of where we're at with that, is requesting an interim because everything else is paused outside of the 5-year plan process.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Hill, I went to the link, I looked at the project. It just seems like a lot of inactivity, but I will, I guess we'll just wait and see. We'll keep watching it. Thanks.
Okay, the next item of business is the Meridian Intersection Pedestrian Safety Project, and that update, I believe, is going to be by Ms. Hill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to just share a few slides just because it's easier to talk through. Really, this is an update and the presentation that was shared with council. If I could get my screen to not freeze, that'd be great. Okay. So really just circling back from when we last spoke, the last time I think I let you guys know about the MIPS project list and next steps, we talked about a PHB, and I've been working closely with Matt Deegan, who's here online with ACHD, and his team on pursuing moving forward. And at the direction of the mayor's office and council, I just want to share with some of the projects that we are going to look at doing, which is very different from the last time. So we are looking at doing some paint projects for some crosswalks that were on the list. So there are 10 or so here that are moving forward. Some of them are in private approaches, and so they're not typically part of ACHD's work. So there'll be some other coordination efforts. Many of these are in close proximity to other pedestrian hybrid beacons. So really just trying to draw attention to pedestrian activity. We will be painting some crosswalks and did some site visits. And those are some of the photos you'll see there. So really just wanted to update you that we'll be moving forward and working with ACHD to see how we can accomplish these. There were some other opportunities to do some pedestrian ramp improvements or sidewalk repairs. The photo on the right is at the PHB adjacent to Tolley Park on Linder Road. And there's also an area on Meridian Road, just south of here, that the sidewalk could use some repair. So we thought since those were in the MIPS report, those would be good opportunities to move forward with. And council was in favor and is willing for us to work forward with these. So these are some that we're going to look at pursuing this fiscal year. And then we will also begin conversations and just looking into other projects, because as you recall, there were 100 and something intersections identified on that report. So we're going to look at opportunities to look at some of the site vision triangle projects. There are several other projects that could just be even further scoped with ACHD or ITD, so we could further understand what does it actually entail. Keeping in mind that the projects, based on feedback we received from Matt Deegan, was to really focus on proper projects that don't require any right-of-way acquisition, just to kind of simplify it. And so those projects, we did receive some feedback that, oh, this one would be better placed in the 5-year plan. So just wanted to keep the Transportation Commission informed that we are keeping that going. And I'll continue coordinating with you all and just updating you. But crosswalks and painting and some ped ramp improvements for now. And I'll stand for questions if you have any, but mostly it was just kind of an update.
Anyone can name 10 of those cross streets, I will give them a piece of candy out of the mayor's box. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Just good to see. It looks like some progress may come out of this. That they seem like small projects, but site distance is big, and we're doing it.
Anyone else? Okay, the next item is a 2025 roadway intersections and community program prioritization follow-up to our last meeting and the city council meeting that occurred recently. Ma'am.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, so last week I was before council with the fiscal year 2026 through 2030 5-year plan prioritization. The list was shared with them and we had a thorough discussion about the subcommittee's methods for grouping projects, the emphasis on using the level of service map. And I did share that level of service map with council. And it seemed like on feedback, based off of their feedback, they did like seeing that and understanding that approach to looking at that map that ACHD provided. And they understood the need, kind of why some of the projects jumped ahead, and knowing that when you combine two lists, inevitably some are going to get pushed down. So as a result of the conversation and kind of running short on time with other things on the agenda, they've taken this week, a couple of weeks to basically review and kind of digest it all. So I will be going back next Tuesday on March 11th for a follow-up to see what may shift and what the final list is, because that list is due to ACHD on March 19th. There were some conversations, I'm trying to think of some to call attention to. We talked a bit about Ustick and Venable, which I know the subcommittee and the TC as a whole were kind of comfortable with where it was at based on just the priority list and other corridors. There may be some shifting with that due to parks and the community center and looking at cooperative development agreement with ACHD. Not sure where that's going to fall exactly. I'll know next week. We also talked about the Linder Cherry to Ustick Road where the concept study was adopted. And I know the commission, the Transportation Commission, based off of some feedback, we just left it as is, right? We left it where it was last year. The council and mayor were fine with it actually falling out of the top 10, knowing that we would still, we're still supportive of it in the long term, knowing that it's going to take a long time to acquire all of those properties in the right of way. So you may see some shifts of a couple projects moving down. One might move up. There was also a conversation based off of, I think, of what the subcommittee was doing to couple projects together, was a conversation started about, well, which road corridor do we want to be a priority? Is it Locust Grove or Meridian Road? Because we have some projects for each of those in the top 15, and then the other segment of it like down at like 30 or 40. So do we want to put those together? And which corridor would it be? So we had Christy Enselman and Rebecca Phillips with ACHD at the council meeting as well. So there was some dialogue back and forth if you haven't had a chance to watch it and you were interested in doing so. It was last Tuesday. But really overall, the list isn't back before you this year. So they're just looking over it, and overall they were mostly comfortable with where things were. There just might be a little bit of shuffling of the projects.
So you will present the final list as sent by the city council to us at our next meeting?
I will share it at April. I will have that final list and letter that will be sent to ACHD.
And somebody refresh my memory. Didn't this group discuss Meridian versus Locust Grove about 4 or 5 months ago?
Yes, we did.
And Mr. Ballard, I believe, either made a motion or had an opinion on it. What would you help me remember what you said, sir? Don't mean to put you on the spot.
My recollection is that given that Meridian Road has access to the interstate, 10 Mile has access to the interstate, whereas Locust Grove does not. That's why I was thinking that Meridian Road would be designated, given that access. I mean, Locust Grove carries the traffic, I get it, but you've got to get on a side street then to get onto the interstate.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I don't remember exactly where the location of those Meridian Road projects were, but to my recollection, it had nothing to do with the interstate.
I don't want to get us off too far in the weeds, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think the question came to us before the list. Which would you think would be the better as a through corridor, Meridian or Locust Grove? And I believe Mr. Ballard was the one that said, I don't know if he particularly talked about the interstate, but the fact that it goes all the way to Kuna was part of it. It reverses a lot of the valley as opposed to Locust Grove.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I believe those projects on Meridian Road are north headed to Chinden.
Okay.
I think it's north of Ustick, actually, headed to Chinden.
Okay, anyway, don't mean to get us off too much. Anything else, ma'am?
That is all.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, ex officio updates.
Mr. Chair, before you begin ex officio updates, I did want to let you know that Miranda Carson was able to join online. So,
Ms. Kloppenstein, I think you went first last month. You did so well. I'll let you go first again.
Great. Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Commission, thank you so much. I've got 3 updates from Compass for you today. The first is that we are accepting public comments on the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program, and then that includes an amendment to our Long-Range Transportation Plan, Communities in Motion 2050. We are adding 5 new projects and then making changes to 2 existing projects. So the details for those projects are all included on our website. But one project that might be of interest is a new project to widen State Highway 69 or Meridian Road from Columbia Road to Victory Road. So adding a lane in either direction. So it would be 3 lanes going in either direction. So comments on those amendments are due by March 17th. So again, they're on our website if you want to comment. The next public comment period, or I guess another public comment period that we have open is on a survey called Move What Matters. The survey is open until April 3rd. So it opened today and it's open until April 3rd. And that is a 2-question survey. It's really short and sweet. I've got some postcards here to give to you afterwards, but it's to help us weight different goals in our long-range plan, and that will help inform the project prioritization process that we will develop for our long-range plan. So would encourage you all to take it. It's really quick and easy, and it's focused on project outcomes. So that helps us understand what kind of the outcomes that residents in the region would like to see, and then helps us identify the projects to help get us there. And then the third update is something that I think maybe we can bring, Heather, I don't know if you're open to this, but we have the Regional Safety Action Campaign called Good Move. So we're partnering with all of our member agencies, including the City of Meridian, on a safety action campaign called Good Move. And right now we've got, Compass is sponsoring 6 billboards and then like roadside billboards. And then we're looking for sponsorships for an additional 6 from various member agencies if they're willing. So would be looking for sponsorships there, as well as just getting the word out. It's basically a package of different templates to help get the word out about how important safety is. So just wanted to get the word out there. And then I've got some stickers from the Good Move campaign that I'll hand out afterwards. And that's all from me.
Did your recent open houses for the survey on high-speed transit, just a feeling, did you feel like it was a good turnout? Do you know whether or not you got good return surveys, or is that closed?
Yeah, so that public comment period closed yesterday.
Okay.
So that we had 2 open houses, and we had a questionnaire that was available for about a month on high capacity transit. So this is the tier 2 of our Pell study on high capacity transit. I think the open houses went well. We had about the same participation than we did in the fall. So we had another public comment period in the fall for the project. So we're looking forward to dig into the public comments. And we'll present those if you're on our Regional Transportation Advisory Committee or sitting on or listening in on our Compass board meetings. We'll present those findings there. And you reminded me, actually, I neglected to mention that this new public comment period that we have on the long-range transportation plan, We also have an open house on March 13th from 3 to 6 p.m. So if you're interested, it'll be at the Compass Boardroom, just across the street.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Dahl, welcome. Valley Regional Transit doing anything lately?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we got a couple things going. I guess to narrow it down, we're working on, so Valley Connect 2.0 was our long-range transit plan that we started in 2018. We are currently updating that and calling it Valley Connect 3.0. We have 3 different transit scenarios for routes going into the future. We have one we call the intermediate scenario. One is a growth without rail, and then based on the high capacity transit study, we also have a growth scenario with rail that we're building transit routes off of. So we've put together basically up here, besides putting together those scenarios, we're working on cost estimates to not only operate that service, but also looking at what facilities we would need as the Valley Regional Transit fleet begins to expand. We're going to need another maintenance facility. We're going to need more admin offices, and particularly with Meridian being right in the central location in the valley, we would be looking at putting a larger transit hub here within city of Meridian, as well as potential rail stations included with that. We also updated our peer analysis, so looking at different transit agencies that are comparable, mostly within the Intermountain West, seeing how they're funded, what kind of service they're providing, what kind of ridership they're getting, and see where Valley Regional Transit falls within those items. So that's like probably the biggest thing we're working on. Right now, we're working through the chapters. In the past, it was just based on fixed route service only. It didn't include any of our specialized transportation services such as access or paratransit. And so we're also including those, as well as how land use fits into it, and pedestrian and bicycle improvements as well. So at some point, we'll have an update for you for that and be able to get some feedback from you. Until then, we also, our CEO, Elaine Clegg, has been working really diligently with much of the staff, building a coalition around the state. Although many people think of potentially Valley Regional Transit being one of the only public transportation authorities in the state, there's actually over 50 other public transportation agencies throughout the state. And so VRT has put together a booklet of all those different transit agencies, what services, and that will help us start to connect with all of those folks and be able to educate people on the importance of public transportation. And next time I will bring some of those booklets over for each of you. I mean, I could go on and on about all the stuff we're doing, but those are probably like the 2 biggest things that affect City of Meridian at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Ballard.
Ms. Dahl brought up a point. I attended Boise Chamber Food and Agricultural Board meeting where Elaine Clegg did do a presentation and introduce that booklet with the 50 or so statewide, or I say statewide, but she identified in that booklet the transportation services that are available in a number of communities throughout the state. I would suggest that if Ms. Dahl has an interest in that, that we invite her or Ms. Clegg to do that presentation to give us a better idea of the breadth of those transportation services. I know it doesn't serve Meridian, but I thought that that was very interesting to have identified numerous transportation facilities and agencies, if I can call it that. So I'd leave that open for consideration, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hill, if you'll put that on a question, future topic question mark, please. Okay, Mr. Deegan with ACHD, anything from your side of the world?
Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Commission, I guess not too much, other than we've got a ton of construction going on in your city right now. One of the projects we designed internally, Lake Hay the Legal, actually, I went out and toured on Friday, and some of the walls are coming near completion on that project. It's one of the biggest projects we've ever done, other than I think East Park Center Bridge. So it's really exciting to see that coming together. But yeah, really just a lot of construction going on right now.
Okay, and Ms. Hill, you told me that either Mr. Price or Ms. Carson had joined us. Is that correct? Which one?
Miss Carson.
Miranda Carson, how's the bus business?
Hi, it's great. Thank you. Sorry, I was about 4 minutes late, so I missed the roll call. Y'all are really quick. We continue to bus. We've got some boundary changes that we're looking towards in the 26-27 school year. So about a year out from that, and that is based on developments that are happening throughout Meridian. We have some enrollment caps we've put on at Pleasant View Elementary based on the development that's happening in that boundary, which if you're not familiar, it's out on Black Cat, kind of in the fields area. So we're continuing to react through those, and then we're just working through our ACHD requests to submit, and then also working with ACHD on a project for some ped ramps at a campus. So we're really appreciative for them as an agency to work with us and get some improvements near our schools.
Okay, any
Mr. Chair?
questions from the commissioners to any of the ex officios? Mr. Ballard.
Ms. Carson, given that she is with or oversees the West Ada School District bus system, coordinates that, and back to Ms. Dahl's comment, one thing that, or the study that Ms. Clegg identified, I found it very interesting that the public school systems provides a very large transportation service throughout the state, but it is limited to transporting students. So the question comes, and there's probably not an answer, that infrastructure, can it be used to transport other individuals when school kids are not on the bus? And that gets involved into some state laws, I believe. But I thought it was a very interesting question that the school bus is a very large transporter, but it has limited application.
So I would argue that we have broad application. We are, we like to say we're the largest public transportation system. We provide over 2.2 million rides a year. We have 187, I think we just got up to 188 routes that we provide transportation for. And while our yellow school buses that we use for home to school that taxpayers fund through West Data are only for students, those yellow buses during the off hours are used through charter for community events. So Durham School Services, both out of Boise and out of West Ada, run charters, again, not paid for by the taxpayer, but they run charters for Bogus Basin. They run charters for some of the seminary programs. So when you talk about the transportation system and getting cars off the road, those yellow buses are being used during other times of day to try to reduce traffic and be a good community partner.
You stand corrected, and I appreciate the clarification because that was the point. Are the school buses, and you clarified that, they are available at other times to provide other services. So I appreciate that information, Ms. Carson.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions, comments regarding the ex officios?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Leclerc?
I am a little disappointed to not see Meridian Police here today. I believe there was, I think it was Friday night, a fatality accident at Locust Grove and Franklin. And it would have been good to get, just sort of an initial update on what happened.
We don't know.
Feedback, anything.
We don't know why they're not here. We were told that neither one of them would be available. And I jumped to the thought that maybe it had to do with that accident, but I don't know that.
All right. Well, I hope to hear something of an assessment for us at our next meeting, and look forward to more updates from what's happening with the police department. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, Ms. Hill, we have reserved for you, an hour and 20 minutes to give us the staff communication report, please.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I have no staff communications published or any received from the public. I do have one update for the commissioners. I know Commissioner Leclerc, you've continued to ask. So Emily Kane reached out this morning from legal. City Council's holding a public hearing tomorrow for the Title II updates. And then at some point, it'll probably be a couple weeks until that ordinance is passed. And then when time comes, she'll be revisiting the bylaws as part of that, but it's continuing forward and that process is going. So she'll let us know when she's ready to chat about it. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
I have asked Ms. Hill to make sure her computer's plugged in so she could get any citizen communications that try to get to her, but some of the things the citizens tell us or ask us are the most exciting parts of these meetings. So anyway, okay, that's everything on our agenda today. The future meeting topics remain, I'm pretty sure, this month as they were last month. Haven't changed. You can see those in your packet. Anyone have anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Thank you.
Motion and a second, no discussion of, is possible, therefore, all in favor say,
Aye.
anybody want to stay? We're out of here. Thank you all.